we must safeguard all that has been given to us by those sacred ancestors who struggled and went through all kinds of torture and turmoil to convince them to let go of divine order. And they refused. They refused up until this very day. And how do they I not know that?
High Priest Kwatamani, Supreme Soothsayer, Soul Seer, Spiritual Healer and Revealer, Chief Elder of the Kwatamani First Genesis Tribe, the oldest, longest sustained, raw and living, plant fuel consuming, family community order known, over half a century, and still going strong in the tropical rainforest.
Now this is a beautiful day. Yeah, and I woke to the beautiful sound of the birds speaking and talking, looking and seeing the communal brotherhood and sisterhood out on it, harvesting sesame seeds and looking at the papaya ready to be pulled and consumed, thinking about all the pineapples that the youth just finished planting. It's just a beautiful experience to actually feel the essence of the sacred garden culture from which we come as divine children of the sun. The kale blossoming all over the place. The broccoli and the cauliflower awaiting their turn. And just feeling the glory of those jackfruits and all of the other expressions of this sacred ancestral rainforest jungle experience. Today is the Earth Solar Cycle Day of that senior priestess who's in her 60s and thinking about the times that she made a decision in her 30s that she had decided that there definitely must be two different natures of energy.
Two different natures of energy, different as can be, divine order or toxic reality.
She had walked within a particular nature of energy that had been encoded in her, given to her, put into her subconsciousness by those who had came before, who were forced, coerced, and otherwise pushed into a consciousness of thought and reasoning that was actually there to prevent the rise of green earth solar consciousness. But through it all, those encodes of soul kept a balance that actually prevent insanity from overtaking.
Her resistance to that nature that opposes her existence is natural and innate. Which nature would she choose to guide her fate?
And yes, indeed, it was a challenge. Thinking about this sacred ancestral senior priestess and thinking about how that nature of energy actually manipulate and maneuver to pull each and every one of us into that wilderness vibration of that Genesis 2 mindset, so that the toxic parallel will be able to suck, sap, and drain the soulful essence of our offsprings.
Two different natures of energy, no doubt.
And thinking about the fact that Dad and I had long ago made a decision that I will not be a part and parcel of that suck, sapping, and draining energy willingly. But then taking a look at the fact that that opposing nature energy do not care whether you're willing or not. If it don't get you, it simply waits for the generations off of you so that they can twist, contort, and change their mindset into an opposing nature of energy to pull all into the oblivious nothingness.
Who, why, when, where would such a mentality come to be, if not from a cold, pale self, deified male who condemned the essence of she to elevate his false sense of supremacy?
When you're dealing with an opposing nature of energy that is diametrically opposed to divine order, it has no concern except to be able to suck, sap, and drain the life energy out to exist as long as it can.
As the stakeholder gets even bolder and colder while he suck, sapping and trapping
within its moments of glory that actually is expressed as a physical manifestation, expressed through materialistic worship, expressed by those who seek and search and desire to be able to have a moment of pleasure and willing to have that moment of pleasure so desperately that one will sell their soul to that nature that diametrically opposes the essence of life and supreme love.
This is what the OCA lady saw when she examined the fatal flaw of those who broke divine law.
And I sit wondering, reasoning with all of these particular phases and stages of existence. Then I gave a breath of thanks, praise, and appreciation to the most supreme, seen and unseen essence of life and supreme love. And one would wonder, why would you be giving supreme thanks, praise, and appreciation? And I say, because here, and I sit, smelling the beauty of the fresh fruits and vegetables and seeds and nuts within that sacred garden culture that surrounds the I and this first Genesis family community order. Feeling the nature of sacred ancestral glory, having the opportunity to go through another day, giving thanks, praise, and appreciation to another earth solar cycle, to a senior priestess who actually was not supposed to be able to connect with this nature of energy and to exist during this particular cycle of time.
This is for whoever got the ears to listen.
Priestess,
Feel the spirit,
bring it home, baby.
the message going round underground. Soulbound.
She was supposed to have went the ways of the deaf culture. Yet the glory of that minute soul that came through those ancestors before continued to stay in place long enough for her to get refueled with the essence of life and supreme love.
Unified inside collective whole, all parts connected, soul to soul.
What I'm saying is this: life is for the living, for giving to the generation next. Although there are many challenges that we face in dealing with that opposing nature of energy that sucks, saps, and drains the essence of life out of any victim that is able to convince or persuade to worship, to honor its nature of energy, a nature of energy that is a vengeful nature energy, a nature of energy that is an envious and jealous, spiteful nature of energy, a nature of energy that glorifies blood spill, blood sacrifice, burnt offerings.
The self-deified male sits all alone on his throne, as his will be done by the barrel of a gun. Weapon warfare, deadly threat, and his reign of terror ain't done yet. Implosion is a sure bet.
But then here we are, within a sacred garden culture presence, within the parallel of divine order, given this opportunity to continue to walk the ways of those sacred ancestors who are definitely encoded in each and every one of us.
Ain't trying to offend those God-fearing men who told us woman was the birthplace of sin. And then, after a while, they crucified her son child, made her bend, waver and bow. Holy cow, must have been odd. She forced to worship the facade of a vengeful, jealous, monotheistic God, spewing curse upon she as if she was the enemy, she, the mother of humanity.
If it were not for the spirit-conscious resurrection of the divine union of masculine and feminine energy that is occurring during this prophetic cycle of time, the female would be left at the mercy of the monotheistic war god deity personas within the toxic parallel. This corrupt, image of masculinity would never be able to fulfill, satisfy, and penetrate the feminine essence to the deepest pleasures of her ancestral being, nor could the warlord expressions of the toxic parallel and its death culture ever inspire the divine nurturer to pour forth her soothing and comforting energies in a call and response of mutual thanks, praise, and appreciation. End of quote. From the inner womb of supreme femininity, forwarding the expressions of the Kwatamani Royal Sisterhood, taken from the prophetic 12,594-year Benu Cycle, encoding the consciousness of higher peace through the divine union of masculine and feminine energy, Book 1 by High Priest Kwatamani. Copyright November 11, 2011.
The masculine he give divine guidance and protection to the women and the children.
He, the provider who fertilized the seeds inside her. His is to protect and guide her. He ejaculate his life energy, the essence of he for her to nurture urgently.
The feminine she giving nurturing affection to the masculine he who honors and forwards the energy, the strength, the glory of giving divine guidance and protection to the women and the children.
She, soft, sensuous, wet, stimulated as she can get in the heat of the sweat. Sperm cells moving like a jet as the natural urge surge to merge with she and the mojo of her femininity, reproducing that unified intensity.
Therefore, putting that divine union of oneness together in such a way that actually resurrects divine social, economic, family, community order. Now, it is a challenge when I think about those three younger sons and their experiences. And I think about the fact that each one of them are wondering, how are they going to be able to find a mate? And I look and tell them as humbly as possible, please don't worry about a thing. Every little thing gonna be all right within this divine spirit conscious family communal movement. And I am here as your elder, and there are many of us unseen who are here, and we don't mean to talk, mysterious to you. We're talking about the nature of energy, just like the nature of energy that you feel when that solar panel transmits into electricity, or that breath of air transmit into life formation, or that water starts to make your blood move smoothly. On Mother Earth, give forward those trees out there that's producing those junjuns, producing all of the fruits and the vegetables and the seeds and the nuts that bring everyone smiling faces. It's time to come into full recognition that we are transmitting into a new phase. You see, Deanna, I spoke some years back to tell each and every one of you, and you used to laugh about it, entering the door of 2024.
Yeah, dealing with what is in store as we prepare to enter the door of what will be AD 2024. The sleeper, where the gatekeeper is the grim reaper. Yeah.
The sleeper, where the gatekeeper is the grim weeper, and that the divine and sacred few must be able to walk through that door of 2024 and come out live with a wholesome vibe in 2025.
Dealing with the obstacles along the way that prevent a sacred view from hearing what the eye and I have to say. But the ancestors say it anyway.
If one can feel the soul, the essence of the expressions that is being transmitted this day, an Earth Day within our communal order, a Earth Day to give thanks, praise, and appreciation for a survivor, one of our senior priestesses, and thinking about the fact that her surviving into this phase of her 60s is an expression that we're going to do this. When thinking about the different diagnoses was given to her, and the fact that she wasn't supposed to live that much longer in those times, and then seeing the magnificent power of that raw, living fruits, and vegetables, seeds, and nuts, those herbs, the intensity of staying on it, the intensity of giving the kind of psychological reasoning that allowed her to bypass the nature of that pale mental mindset and its grip that it thought it had over her subconscious mindset. Thinking about those things, then one come to realize that, oh yeah, we are doing this, and failure is not an option, and there is absolutely no other way to go but forward. And giving this as a message to those offsprings, do not at any point in time believe the toxic reasoning and all of those distractions that actually are there as a master program to keep you out of sync and out of focus and out of time with your sacred ancestral garden culture communal order.
Quote, as we continue to advance past the residue that remains from past patterns of toxic consumption and old mental programs, we are keenly aware that there is a tremendous need for healing from the massive amount of damage and trauma and emotional distress that have been inflicted and suffered and self-induced within the toxic parallel and its deaf culture. End of quote. Page 8 from Benu Book 1 by High Priest Kwatamani.
Remember, the primary plight was to prevent the rise of a green earth solar conscious state of thought and reasoning and action, blocking the feminine she, keeping her hell-bent in a toxic parallel where she would continue to breed, seed, and feed that opposing nature of energy into every offspring and vibration of each generation born off of her. Yet and still, at this particular point in time, we're seeing a magnificent conversion occurring. We're seeing offsprings being birthed, onto a few of the few, in a new parallel of thought and reasoning and action. And those offsprings are actually coming out of those populations, at least a few, who were emerging out of that parallel where the warlord controlled everything within it, and somehow converging into a sacred garden culture presence, once again putting the divine union of masculine and feminine energy into the greater possibility of going forward and multiplying divine order. Absolutely beautiful. And now I have no choice but to give supreme thanks, praise, and appreciation to their royal sisterhood and that sacred ancestral priestess who somehow overcame the burdens of being under the spell of that toxic parallel. And although there has been many times when the feeling was to submit or die, to just go ahead and submit and die. What the eye and I hear within the echoing cry is, life is for the living, and I'm about this living life experience like never ever before. That's the sign that divine order has been reinstalled. Now it is just left for the sacred few of us to gather and begin to go forward and multiply divine order into every offspring and vibration of the generation next. And this is why there is such an urgent cry for divine social, economic, family, community order, because we must safeguard the offspring and vibrations of the generation next. We must safeguard the women and the children. We must safeguard divine, nurturing affection. We must safeguard all that has been given to us by those sacred ancestors who struggled and went through all kinds of torture and turmoil to convince them to let go of divine order. And they refused. They refused up until this very day. And how do they and I know that? Because here we are. And clearly and beyond a shadow of a doubt, we have refused to let go of divine order. We have refused. And we must encode the vibration of refusing to let go of divine order into every offspring and vibration of the generation next and next and next and next and next. And that's our mission. And so although we're at the threshold of that mission, when one opens one's third eye, one can see forward that a divine parallel has been laid, and that parallel opens the door for soul journeying movement that will refuse to let go of divine order. This means that the resurrection of the first Genesis offspring and vibration is alive and well and living color.